You're making decisions and choices right now that you're not actually making. What does that mean? Right? I mean, that's a weird thing to say, but it's true. So let's go into it. One of my favorite topics to talk about is something called subconscious programming. And most people know what it is, they just don't know that they know what it is. You ever hear those stories like if someone smokes or if someone's parents smoke, the kid is more likely to smoke. Or if someone's parent, let's say their parents got a divorce, they're more likely to get divorced, right? That's subconscious programming. So how it works is between the last trimester all the way up until about 6, 7 years old, depending, you're actually in a kind of a hypnotic state. Your prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain that controls decision making or emotional regulation, that part of the brain is not fully, it's actually not even fully developed until about 25, 26, 27 if you're male, because we develop a little bit slower, but whatever. But around the ages of 0 to 6, there's it's not developed enough for you to actually use it fully. So what happens is you're in this hypnotic state, and everything that's taking place around you, you're absorbing. So the way that your parents dealt with, let's say, conflict, how they dealt with money, communication, relationships, how they dealt with love or didn't give love, their values and morals and the way that they dealt with life or how they didn't deal with life. Maybe they weren't there. All of this programs you at a young age to believe and do the things that you do and believe. I'm reading a book right now called The Road Back to You. It's about the Enneagram. And he talks about, the guy who wrote it talks about how we see the world through the eyes of the child we were, which is a weird way to say it, but unless there was some sort of, something to break the pattern of how we were as kids and what happened to us as kids until adults, unless there's some sort of intervention, we're going to remain where we were. That's a weird thing to think about, really. I mean, just thinking about it now, like I'm still the person I was when I was 6. I'm just older and a little bit more mature, and a lot hairier. Whatever. Anyways, so we see the world through the eyes of ourselves when we were kids, unless that intervention takes place. And in the true form of transference, not in the clinical sense where as the client transfers their emotions, feelings, memories, and all that garbage onto the counselor. That's not the transference. I'm talking about the true transference where this is the value I had when I was a kid, and now it's transferred in my adulthood, and it's still the value that I have because there's no intervention there to take place. So that's it's a weird concept, right? Right? Think about this. You didn't choose it. That's the worst thing. I have a theory on free will, and I'm not going to go into it now, but it's a theory that I have on free will and the idea that it only exists under certain circumstances. The rest of the time, you are programmed to do the things you're going to do anyway. To an extent, obviously, I'm still free to make decisions and to change my life, which we're going to talk about how to reprogram the subconscious. But you think about the subconscious as a GPS. And I say that funny. I don't know why. GPS. My kids made fun of me last time I said it, and you guys can make fun of me. Just don't do it to my face. So when you program a GPS, what takes place is if you make a wrong turn, it tells you, hey, you got to go back this way. And it keeps bugging you until you go the way that it tells you to go. So let's say consciously your morals are, I want to be this person, I want to act this way, and all that, but you just can't do it because the GPS is saying, no, this is who we are. You got to turn around, recalculating, right? Make a U-turn. We're going this way. And that's that's something that's very normal, and it happens all the time. I deal with that on a daily basis with myself, but also with clients that I see and friends that I see, and some people that I mentor. And there's an idea that we're only in control of 5% of our behavior. So if we make up 10% of our own life, 90% of it is out of our control. And something to talk about at some point is the serenity prayer, the things you are not in control, right? The things you cannot change. But 5% of that, 5% of your life is how you react to what's going on around you. The 10% involves that 5% plus your mind, right? Your brain that you didn't choose, your body you didn't choose, and the subconscious programming that you didn't choose, right? Life's a very strange thing. I made a video about how hard life can be, and it can get hard. And I think, in my personal opinion, the worst part about life is we didn't choose it, right? So when you're stressed out and angry, depressed, anxious, whatever it is, and then when it comes down to it, you're like, I didn't even choose this. This is just, why is this happening? You didn't choose your brain, your body. You didn't choose your parents. You didn't choose your race, ethnicity, where you're born, your past, right? Your ancestors, you didn't choose any of it. It's just, you're brought into this world, and it's like, okay, hopefully you figure it out. Because whatever. Okay, so I digress. Subconscious programming. So the things that you're doing right now, more than likely, unless you've done extensive work on yourself, more than likely you are repeating patterns that you were taught when you were a kid. And I know I do it. I did it with, let's say, people pleasing. A lot of people do it with self-confidence, people pleasing, smoking, drinking, drugs, sex, whatever it is, all the things in their life that they were taught at a young age. And that's the weird thing about parenting, which I will make another topic for, make another video for that topic, is that everything that you're doing, you're programming your kids. So it works that way too. Think about that. So how do you change it? What do you do about that? Right? Maybe you don't like your subconscious programming. Maybe you've tried to change over and over and over, and it just, nothing sticks, and you don't know what to do. And you're like, I guess this is the way I am. I guess this is just how I'm going to be, So there are 4 ways I will look. Well, I'll look at the 3 ways. There's a 4th way. I don't know too much about it, but I'll throw it out there anyway. The first and foremost, number 1 is repetition, right? Creating new habits. Practice makes better, not perfect. And perfect practice doesn't make perfect because you're practicing. It's not going to be perfect. Practice is where you're supposed to make mistakes. And if practice made perfect, then we'd have perfect athletes and all that stuff. So practice makes better, right? The more you do it, the better you're going to get. Imagine that you're right-handed. Let's assume that most people are. And now you are forced to write with your left hand. Trying something for the first time, it's going to be sloppy. You're going to fail. That's okay. But if you continue to do that, let's say you did that for 30 days, which is how long it takes to make a new habit, or at least to set the neural pathways in your brain to start that habit. It takes about 30 days. If you started writing with your left hand for 30 days, you become a lot better if you did it on a daily basis. So that's number 1. The more you do something, the better it's going to be. The better you're going to get at it. So keep that in mind. So one trick that you can do, depending on what your goal is, and it's very simple, you take a sticky note and you write your goal on it and you put it in your mirror. And I'm not talking about your rear mirror. Some people do that. You got to see the cars behind you. So I put it in my bathroom mirror. So every morning that I go in and I see it, I was like, yes, that's my goal. And I'm reminded. And after a while, I just see the color of the sticky note, and I no longer have to read it. I just know what it is. And eventually it sinks in. I've done this several times, and it has helped me immensely to achieve certain goals. So that's number one, okay? The second way is hypnosis. Now, this one's a little bit more controversial, but sorry, they're kids. Kids are playing, you know. Anyways, okay, so hypnosis is controversial because growing up, I was told that hypnosis is a form of witchcraft. You know, it's a form of, it's something of the devil. But as we progress with science and technology and all that, we see that hypnosis is actually a very natural thing. Like I said, the first couple years of your life, you're in a state of hypnosis. In fact, you're hypnotized twice a day. When you go to sleep at night, right between sleep and awake, you are hypnosis. Right before you go to bed and right before you wake up, you're hypnotized. And so one thing you can do there is listen to certain programs, and I've done this before. It helps a little bit, unless you see a hypnotherapist, which is one thing you can do. But if you just use that theta, which is what it's called, it's a state of being in theta in the brain, you can use that to reprogram that subconscious programming. Now, it didn't help too much for me. It helped a little bit, but not as much as just the sticky note or reading something or reciting something to myself on a daily basis. Repetition. By the way, that's why counseling is so powerful, because every single week you go and there's a repetition of how you deal with your problems. And that's another reason why it works, among a lot of other reasons. So repetition, hypnotherapy, or hypnosis. And number three is trauma. I don't recommend this one at all. Traumatizing someone's brain, it's all bad usually. Unless there's something I don't know, I'm still doing some research on it. But if you can traumatize your brain in a positive way, good for you, I guess. But that does reprogram that subconscious programming. The fourth one is something called Psych-K. I don't know what it means. I don't know what it stands for. I don't know why I'm even putting it out there. I just know of it, and I know people have talked about it. I don't recommend it because I don't know what it is. So you can look it up. So tell me what you think about subconscious programming. What would you change about yourself, if anything? And what have you tried that has worked or hasn't worked? Let me know. Thank you.